act like a jerk on a plane, and you're going to pay for it. Those are the words from a TSA spokesperson this week after putting up some signs at airports across the country warning passengers that threats, verbal abuse, or physical violence of any kind will mean fines of up to almost $14,000. They get really specific, $13,910 actually. And proof, yet again, that some passengers are still not getting it. A flight headed from D.C. to L.A. was diverted to Oklahoma City last night after a drunken passenger assaulted a flight attendant and injured a federal air marshal who was trying to intervene. The 35-year-old passenger was arrested and then charged with disorderly conduct and public drunkenness. It is just one of more than 5,500 reports of disruptive passengers that the FAA has received this year alone. Travel journalist Peter Greenberg is joining me live from Cabo San Lucas, Mexico tonight to talk more about this. So act like a jerk, Peter. You're going to pay for it on a flight. You fly more than most. How many people, though, have actually behaved badly on a plane and then had to suffer the consequences?
Believe it or not, very few. Let's look at the numbers. Over 5,500 incidents that we know about that you just reported, but of those, only about 50 to 55 of those cases were actually referred to the U.S. Department of Justice for prosecution. You can propose fines. That's what that sign means. The FAA is not an enforcement agency. They're a regulatory agency. There have been fines as much as $47,000 per incident that have been proposed. But of those 55 cases, no prosecution so far, and not a single dime has been paid in terms of fines. So the deterrent factor of these fines, or as you just saw those signs, may be somewhat limited.
Well, so then if that doesn't work, if this is a threat that doesn't really have a consequence, the other thing that Delta is considering is doing a no-fly list. Do you think that would happen?
Well, what Delta's considering is to get all the other airlines involved as an industry-wide no-fly list. For example, if I act out on a Delta flight and I get banned from Delta, right now there's nothing preventing me from checking in on a United flight and acting out, or an American flight. They have to do it industry-wide, and they have to recognize that list. Right now, that list is not in place.
Do you think that that would happen?
Oh, I would count on it. It's going to happen probably after the first of the year. What the airlines have to do is, first of all, get antitrust immunity for the Justice Department to be able to meet as a group and then to be able to codify this. And once they do that, it'll be in place.
Does that hurt their bottom line if they do it?
It hurts their bottom line if they don't do it. The cost of diverting that Delta Airlines plane last night is in the high five figures. You're dealing with misconnecting passengers, misconnecting bags. There's a very good chance the crew timed out and couldn't fly the plane on because they ran out of legal duty time. And then, of course, there are the fuel costs. It's not a pretty picture. So there's an economic impact here, and of course, the obvious safety implications.
Right, and the emotional impact of having to go through this. How often are other passengers intervening? Do we have data on that?
Right now, not too many times. One or two times you've seen the videos of some of the Southwest Airlines flights where the passengers got involved. Last night's flight was interesting because it just so happened a federal air marshal, a FAM, was on board. And when he got involved and then he got assaulted, now you're ratcheting up the problem because now you can be charged, even though he wasn't yet, with assaulting a federal officer. That is not a pretty picture.
Any other options, Peter, in the tool belt for airlines and the industry to consider moving forward with this that they haven't tried yet?
Yes, one in particular, alcohol sales at airports. They're going to try, at least they're considering it, a sort of an NFL fourth quarter approach. You're not going to be able to sell any alcohol during the fourth quarter of an NFL game right now for all the obvious reasons. They can tie this to the boarding pass of every passenger that you cannot be served alcohol at an airport retail establishment within 45 minutes of the boarding time listed on your boarding pass. When they do that, you're going to stop people getting on planes already drunk.
Well, and there could be an outroar of response once they do that. All right, Peter, you're in Mexico, as I mentioned a moment ago. The U.S. State Department issued that level 3 travel advisory, which means they're recommending people reconsider travel to parts of Mexico because of an increased risk of crime and kidnapping. What's it like in Cabo right now? Are you noticing anything different?
Well, I reconsidered it, and I'm here. You have to look at the numbers. Almost all the crime that's happening in Mexico is gang versus gang. What we saw that happen in Cancun last week was an aberration in terms of a sort of an unscripted agreement between the government and those drug gangs that they would leave travel and tourism alone because it's such a huge source of revenue. My guess is if you take a look at all the numbers, over 65,000 people killed in drug violence in this country, in Mexico, over the last 10 years. You know how many Americans have been killed?
How many?
About 6. And of those 6, about 5 of them were vacationing American drug dealers, if you get my impression. So the bottom line here is I feel safe. I come down all the time. I practice the same common sense as I would in certain parts of Chicago, Cleveland, New York, or Wyoming. It's as simple as that.
Peter, always good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.